and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, and today we're going to talk about one of Hampton's biggest attractions, which is our beaches. I have with me Katie Kirby, who's a senior lifeguard, and John Bradley, who's one of the recreational professionals with our Hampton Parks and Rec Department. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by. I know it's your busy season as the summer has begun and the weather is nice. Crowds are at the beaches, so thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules. I'm going to ask first for you guys to talk about, there are 3 beaches in Hampton. I know 2 are actually run or staffed by the city and 1 isn't. But what are some characteristics of each of the beaches, and what would make one better for one group of people or one type of experience maybe than another? Let's talk about Buckrow first, because I think that's the easiest and the biggest and the best known. John,
well, yeah, Buckrow is a family beach. It's the most popular attraction in Hampton, Virginia. It has facilities such as the comfort station and the rentals for kayaks and all kind of beach activity going on, volleyball, all these things that are great for family activities. So all of that is happening at Buckrow Beach.
Okay, and so Buckrow is a bay beach. These are all bay beaches.
That's
so
right.
There's a little wave action, but not, big waves.
Not
it's a little
much,
more
yeah.
family friendly,
Right.
little kid friendly than, Virginia Beach or Nags Head, the ocean beaches.
That's correct, yes.
So Buckrow, there's the big pavilion, there's grills, there's, it's more of what you would think of as a big recreational beach.
Correct.
And when you say comfort station, you want to tell us what that really is in layman's terms?
It's just our big public bathrooms. They just got redone this year, so they're a lot nicer. They're better upkept, and outside there's shower stations. So if you want to wash off after you've been playing in the sand, or after you've gone fishing on the fishing pier, you want to just rinse off real quick. It's just a nice, quick place.
It's a good idea. My car is always full of sand all summer long, and it's hard to get that out once it's in there. Okay, so that's Buckrow. And Outlook Beach, which I think most people don't know the name of, but call it that beach at Fort Monroe. Katie, you were telling me that has some different characteristics.
Yeah. Outlook Beach is not the Officers Club beach. It's not the one attached to the pool.
Right.
It's this little... actually, they're like little coves. They're sectioned off by the rock jetties, and each cove is, just a small little inlet. It's very shallow, and it's perfect for families with small kids. At high tide, the water can go up to like your chest for a grown adult, and at low tide, you can maybe like your knees or your thighs. So if you have small children that really want to play in the water or play in the sand, I think it's the perfect beach for them.
That's great. Okay. And both of those beaches have the same hours. You have lifeguards there in season from what time?
From 8 in the morning to 6 in the evening.
Okay. 8 to 6.
Excuse me, 10 to 6.
10 to 6. Okay.
I'm there at 8, yeah.
All right. And are there any other, there's some common rules and restrictions, right? You're not supposed to bring, open containers or beer, no glass. Are they glass? What are the rules?
Yeah, no alcohol, no glass containers, no styrofoam containers, no open fires, no open flames at the beach. No pets, no dogs on the beach. Kites, you can only use the kites not on the sand but on the grassy areas.
Back on the park, I've seen people back there, right?
Yeah, no fishing. And let's see.
Keep off the jetties and keep off the rocks.
And the rocks.
Keep off the rocks. I hear, actually, I've seen a lot of people on those rocks off season. There's nobody there to stop them. But why is that? Katie, you want to tell us?
They look great. Look at these big fun rocks. I want to go climb all over
Nothing
them.
kids like more than rocks and
just
climbing.
Big piles of anything that, kids want to be all over them. We don't want people on the rocks, just like we don't want people on the jetty, because when the tides come in and out, they're wet, they're covered in algae, and if you slip on them, you just get cut all up, and it's just big danger. We don't want you to hurt yourself or hurt others if you drag them down with you. And
they're sharp, they're slippery.
Yeah.
Okay, easy to fall. And they move a little bit too. I mean, it's not like they're set in there with cement. They're
90% of our injuries at the beach are from people that we whistle at to get off the rocks and jetties and slip, and they come to us with their cut all up. And,
really? That's more common than any other type of injury?
It's the most common injuries that we get.
Jeez, okay. Well, now there's a third beach in Hampton, which I know the city doesn't run, but it is an option for people, so I want to tell them a little bit about it. It's Grandview Nature Preserve.
Yes.
And Katie, do you want to talk a little bit about what that's like? I know
sure.
We've all been out there.
There's the Grandview private beaches, if you're headed down that way on the right by the houses, but on the left is the nature preserve. And there's not really parking or big signs for it. You walk through a gravel path through the marsh to get to the beach. So, you know, if you have little kids, it might not be that great.
Right, it's not good for kids. It's really, you don't want to carry a cooler that far, because it's a half a mile probably to the beach, and probably a mile and a half or more if you walk the whole thing to the point.
And there's no lifeguards or anything, so it's just very open, a swim at your own risk type of thing. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a nature preserve.
Right, right. It's good for a hike maybe more than a day at the beach. There's no bathrooms, and there's more junk in the water. I mean, junk not meaning trash, but meaning stumps and algae and floating things. It's very rustic.
Right.
What are some safety tips, Katie, that you have for people going to the beach this summer?
Wear sunscreen and drink water. We can't stress it enough.
It sounds so simple.
It does, and you know, it's not just wearing sunscreen, but it's reapplying it every few hours.
That's what gets people. I think everybody starts out with a decent coating of sunscreen. Maybe not as much as they tell you to apply, but they start out. When do you need to reapply? How do you know?
As a lifeguard, I reapply every 2 hours. If you're in the sun, even if you're moving around, you need to reapply that sunscreen. We see so many people lobster red at the beach, and we just look at them because you're just going to be in so much pain. It's just, you have to reapply the sunscreen, and you have to drink the water. If you're out there.
Why water?
Hydration.
Because you don't want dehydration, heat stroke, anything.
You don't notice you're sweating at the beach. It is one of those things where, you know, you're in the water and there's a nice breeze, and you don't realize, I don't think, how much moisture you're losing.
Yeah, even though you're in the water, you're still sweating.
It just doesn't feel like it.
Yes.
Okay, so those are the two big ones. What else?
Always, my big thing for parents is to keep an eye on your kids.
Right.
You know, don't turn your back on your kids, even if you think they're right next to you. You know, they may see a friend or their ball may go missing and they just take off.
Right. They'll follow a toy anywhere.
Exactly. So my thing is, you know, be smart about it. You know, keep an eye. If you aren't a very strong swimmer, I wouldn't suggest trying to swim to our buoy line. Stay at least like chest deep in the water. Always be where you can touch. You know, if your friends challenge you like, hey, let's go out as far as we can go. Just remember, you have to get back in too.
Yeah, I think people will do that and not realize how far out they are.
It takes a lot more energy to swim in open water than it does in, say, a pool. In a pool, you always have the wall you can grab onto.
Right.
But at the beach, you're just out there in the open. And
okay, and so keeping an eye on your kids, it doesn't mean you don't trust the lifeguards, but they have a lot to look at, and you are more aware of what your own kids are doing.
And you're more aware of their abilities.
Right.
Like we're watching, you know, maybe 100 or 200 people in the water and on the beach. You know, we're watching your kid, but our total attention isn't to that just one kid, so.
Right, so parents need to be aware. And if a parent can't swim, they don't have to go in after the kid, they can signal you, but if they're aware of what's going on, it's a big help.
Right.
And a little caution to the fathers. Fathers like to take their kids and put them on their shoulders and throw them up and launch the kids into the water. That is a very dangerous hazard for head and neck injury. Different portions of the beach are really, at low tide, they're really low. They're maybe 2, 3, 4 feet deep. And that can really be a danger, and it really could cause head and neck injury. So we need to be cautious of that. Yeah.
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. Okay. What about like floaties? Do kids, you know, can you take floats out to the beach? Are those kinds of things helpful, or is it hard to tell what's going on when there's a lot of floats out there?
Oh, they're great. Yeah, floaters are good. As long as they don't have paddles, they can't use the paddle floats or any motorized floats in the swim zone area. But yeah, the floats are great.
Now, Katie, you were saying even though most of these things, fires and dogs are not allowed on the main part of Buckrow Beach, there's a little area north of First Street before you get to the private beach? No. Okay.
There's only 2 places where they have the dog park, and that is Sandy Bottom. You can take your dogs there, and they also have Ridgeway, which is at Mercury Boulevard and Fox Hill.
Okay.
So you can take
So
them
no
there.
dogs at all, or just during the season? Like, can I walk my dog on the boardwalk if it's not the beach season?
Not during
Never.
the beach
Okay.
season.
The
Between
closest
Memorial
you can
Day
get
and
to
Labor
Bunker
Day.
Beach is First Street.
Okay.
If we see your dog walking on
along
the beach,
this-
we'll tell you, you know, take it a block over to
Right.
First Street.
Yeah.
Because that's not technically Buckrow
Beach, right.
But
Gotcha.
it's still in the park area if you want to walk your dog around.
Okay, gotcha. And if people want to rent a pavilion or have a party at Buckrow, they can contact Parks and Rec and arrange for rental of the facilities.
That's correct.
And you also mentioned kayak rental
Yes.
on the beach, which I haven't done. Where is that? How much does that cost?
Kayaks are located stand 3, usually around stand 3.
All right, tell me where that is in relation to the pavilion, which is the only thing. Pavilion or the
right
pier?
across from the pavilion
Okay,
is where you get your kayaks, and they're $5 for 30 minutes.
Well, that might be something. I was looking at it in Nags Head last year, and those waves are big. So maybe starting at Buckrow would be a better way to do the ocean kayaking.
Okay.
They also do umbrella and chair rentals
Yes,
for $15, I believe. For like a whole day, you get 2 chairs and umbrella. And they're stationed where the rental people set them up. So it's not like you can move them around the beach. But it's really good for people who bring like their grandmother but forget, you know, a chair and umbrella.
Yeah, that can be hard if you're in a big group. That's a lot to carry.
Yeah.
And so anything that simplifies that is helpful. Okay, well, I want to thank you guys for coming by. Is there anything I've forgotten to ask? Any tips? I know I was going to ask Katie about jellyfish stings and first aid.
Nothing really helps jellyfish stings.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, we've heard vinegar, meat tenderizer.
That's what I've always heard.
People have said to pee on it. Please do not
Ooh.
urinate on a jellyfish sting. That's public indecency. It does not help it.
Yeah.
We've heard everything. The best thing that I've known to do in the past is to go back in the cold water. I know once you get stung by a jellyfish in the water, you're not
The last thing a kid wants to do is go back in the water.
So if it's a real little kid, we'll give you ice to put on it or tell you to go put wet sand on it. Pretty much just to numb the area, or the wet sand just so you don't touch it. You put the wet sand on and you leave it.
And the moisture, I think, probably helps a little bit too.
It's one of those, if you touch it and itch it, it's going to start spreading. So just leave it alone. It'll go in a few minutes.
Okay, that's a hard one for people, isn't it?
Yes, we get that question about 10 times a day for each guard. So,
and you have to wonder this summer if they'll be here earlier, given the fact that the water's already warmer. We've had a tropical storm. It could be a tough season. But I was at Buckrow pretty late last year, and the jellyfish stayed away. I mean, it was a good season.
Yeah, they usually come in really strong in early July, right before
August.
4th of July.
Exactly.
You can always count on it.
Okay, well, thank you, Katie, and thank you, John, for coming by.
Thank you.
And I hope you'll go out and enjoy the beaches this summer, follow the rules, and be safe. But it is one of Hampton's biggest assets and one of the reasons most of us live here. So have fun at the beach, and thank you.